I'm going to be the best weightlifter I'm supposed to be, but if God calls me, I'll give it up.
Yeah.
But he's got to really call. He's got to show me.
But I didn't realize, like, he's a badass.
He stood up to the Nazis, right?
Yeah, he's like pretty insane. Like, but it's pretty insane, like how he was. I don't know. He's kind of just an ordinary dude a little bit, and I don't know. I think when I think of successful people, I almost think that they had some like big crazy thing that happened to them to like make them successful. Like you think about Rocky, he goes through like the training montage, and then after he goes through that, he's like a different person.
Right.
It's like it's the new man kind of.
Right.
With Dietrich Bonhoeffer, he like there was nothing like big that happened to him to just make him just this beast. Like, but I think it was more so just like the everyday, like the little things, like just he like would read his Bible every day that his brother gave him, because his brother like died in World War I, I think, or it was either World War I or a different war, but I think it was World War I because he was a good chunk older than him. So he his brother gave him his Bible that was like full of his notes.
Wow.
From just like when he was in the war and all that. And so he would just like, he'd read that every day. I'm sure you know like a decent amount about it.
I actually don't know much. I was given a biography on him, but I haven't read it yet. It's on my bookshelf. I could go get it. It's thick. It's like 800 pages.
Yeah.
But I've never touched it.
Yeah, I guess he has like all these books that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Like I barely knew who he was. But yeah, it's crazy because like I don't know. Like it's not like he had this dream of like doing something crazy or like, you know, being a crazy athlete or a scientist or changing the world in whatever way. But like, it's almost weird because he like prepared himself in the day-to-day through just like the little things. You know?
Right.
And so me and Jonah were talking about that, and I wrote down like it's like the topic for today, but basically like don't let your dreams get in the way of your purpose. That's what me and Jonah kind of landed on.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like so many people are like, I have to accomplish this dream to be something, you know, but it's like he didn't have a dream of like fighting the Nazis. You know, that wasn't
I wouldn't imagine.
and his life sucked.
Yeah.
Like, there was very few good things about, or like not good, but like pleasurable things about his life. Like I don't think he ever got married. I don't think he, you know, he didn't really have a comfortable like home ever. He was kind of like
Probably no one did back
always
then.
bouncing around.
Yeah.
But even just like where he was living, I guess. So yeah, like he just was the man that he was, and then when he was called, like he was ready, you know. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like he didn't know what he was doing necessarily. He didn't know like why he was I mean, he knew why in the sense of I want to be faithful to God, presumably, but it was that very discipline and like daily self-death that allowed him to give the ultimate sacrifice of. I assume he was martyred and
it was a bummer because I think he was hanged like right before
Whoa.
that camp like got rescued.
Right.
Like 2 weeks I think before.
Dang.
So he almost made it. Like,
Yeah.
but it is pretty insane because he didn't really, not to say he didn't care, but he was like more than willing to die for the cause.
Exactly.
You know? Like there was actually one part where basically he had a chance to like escape and go to America to like basically to spread the word in America, and he ended up going to America, and then he was like, no, like this, I'm I'm running away from where God wants me to be. So he
Wow.
went back, and then he ended up getting captured. And he knew that was going to happen, you know. It's
Right.
not like he was like, oh, yeah, like God will protect me from, I guess, danger or whatever.
Right. He was under no illusions.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, pretty.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like,
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of him. You know, I studied theology in undergrad and grad school, and I think I vaguely heard of him. But it was when I was teaching high school that I heard of him from the librarian. She's like, I'm a big fan, and she gave me that book that I haven't touched.
Interesting.
But it's interesting that I didn't even know they made a movie until a few days ago, and then after I'd seen that they had made the movie, is when you were like, I saw it. So what inspired you to go see it?
Didn't even really want to go see it. My family kind of forced me, coerced me into it.
Good for them.
Yeah, no, it was. But I think like kind of the lesson I took away from it was that you have to be faithful with like the little things in the day to day before you can like. Here, I can move this actually.
I'm good.
I have to. You have to be faithful with like the little things before God's going to provide you with something big, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I almost feel like kind of traditionally my way of thinking is like I have to dream big for big things to happen and I have to make them happen a little bit. But I think that is hard when you're just in the day to day, like we've talked about, like you're not always just going to be experiencing the joy of like these crazy big experiences.
Right.
You know? And so you need to be able to like find the value in every day. And yeah, I think sometimes like being too like dream focused can maybe distract you from that almost. Like, no, I'm not saying like you don't have a plan, because I think plans are good. But if you just have this like expectation almost of what you want to be or what needs to happen in your life for you to like be happy with yourself.
Right. Yeah. Instead of, I mean, in the end, it's the mentality he had is probably whatever God wants will make me happy.
Right.
And just kind of like submitting to whatever he thinks God has in store for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you seen that happen in your life at all? Like, I know we talked a little bit about like the whole dreams thing, but more specifically, I guess like the small little things that have like built you up.
I mean, as far as like not like grasping for what I want, I mean, I try to be very structured, but it is often when I let go of that, the need to do everything on my list. I mean, it is certainly good to have, you know, goals and be disciplined and be structured. But if you're clinging to that so tightly, there's no room for spontaneity or creativity or deviation from your agenda. Yeah, that's when you're closed to being surprised. And that's ultimately, I think, what God often wants to do is surprise us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely attest to times when I let go of my agenda, or I can sense that, okay, I am clinging to my agenda and there's something else calling me, whether it's someone I need or even just like a fun activity with friends. It's like
Right.
I was planning on working out and a buddy calls and wants to do something else.
Yeah.
It's like, but I really was planning on working out. I would have worked out in the morning had I known that you had this plan. And some people would be like, no, this is what I set to do today. I'm going to do it. And there are times when I've done that. It's not like every time, you know, something spontaneous comes up, I say yes.
Right.
But if I always say no, that's a very closed, rigid mentality that doesn't allow any surprise. And so, yeah, not every time, of
Yeah.
course, but oftentimes when I allow that surprise or allow that spontaneity, something does bless me.
So you have to be open to kind of the mysterious ways that
That
life happens.
exactly that reality presents, and
Yeah.
and yeah, it requires prudence. You can't, like I said, you can't say yes to everything
Right.
spontaneous,
Right.
but you shouldn't say no either every time. So whatever that is it 99% in one or 50-50? I can't say,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, for me, when I say yes is when I experience something beautiful or stamped with God.
Have you seen the movie called Yes Man?
No?
So it's Jim Carrey. It's like a
Huh.
comedy, but basically like his life sucks. Like he's divorced. Like
Yeah.
all the usual like America midlife crisis. But he like joins this like class or something, and basically he has to say yes to like every opportunity that happens or like everything that comes up.
In the class or in the?
Well, it's almost like a cult. Like I think actually by the end of the movie you discover it is a cult, and he didn't realize that. But basically his buddy was like, "Dude, you gotta go do this. Like you never go out and do stuff anymore." And like there's
Right.
this class about, like taking opportunities.
Right.
So he basically has to say yes to everything, and so he gets into like all these weird situations just because he said yes.
That's cool. I want to see this.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's kind of slapstick Jim Carrey.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely I think worth the watch. Some of my buddies in college tried to do that. They watched it and they were like, "Dude, we should do this," and it did not end well.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. Would you say like today's culture is so focused on like the dream kind of that we miss like the day to day a little bit, or you think that's not the case?
I think for some people, I think you get. I think there are often two extremes. People who are so rigid that they can't ever be spontaneous, and if you ask them to be spontaneous, they're just going to say no. So you learn to never invite them to do anything.
Yeah, I can think of some
Okay.
friends like that.
But then I think the other extreme would be people who have no structure and are just letting everything else dictate their life, and they never have real control over their life. And I think that's just as problematic. I don't want to say one's worse than the other because I can see extreme pitfalls to both, but yeah. Because it does take a lot to be like structured and disciplined, and so and some people are more naturally geared toward that, and some are not. So the people who are not naturally geared, it takes a lot to overcome that laissez-faire, spontaneous, mindset.
Right.
And so for them it's probably a lot easier to just go with the flow, or go with whatever everyone else is proposing. But same for very like maybe Germanic structured people, it's easier to just, I'm going to do what I think is right, and everyone else is going to be a distraction to my goal. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think that's hard though, because you can get into a mindset of like, I'm not going to be happy until I'm there, until I'm
absolutely. And I think our culture does have a lot of that. Like we're always looking to the future. I'll be happy when I'm out of this stupid grade school. I'll be happy when I'm out of my parents' house after high school. Right. I'll be happy when I'm done with college and I can make money. Oh, I'll be happy when I have savings or I buy a house. I'll be happy when I'm married. I'll be happy when And it's always like a future
Yeah.
thing that once you acquire it, you're like, oh, wait, I'm not happy. Or I'm not as happy as I thought I would be. So
What do you think causes that though? Like, is that just a modern culture problem?
no, I think it's how we're built. But I think the modern culture
Doesn't help.
doesn't have a proposal. Like,
Right.
you know, the medieval culture would say, I'm sure people still had the same thinking, like, I'm not happy,
Yeah.
I have this. But the culture told them, of course you're not happy. You don't have God. God is
Right.
the infinite. He's the source of your infinite fulfillment. Whereas the modern culture might hear it from like their preacher, but
Right.
we ignore those people. And so we're like confused.
Right.
It's like we keep achieving our next goal and we don't sit down and think, wait, it didn't happen the last 5 times. Why do I think it's going to happen this time? And say, oh, wait, maybe I have this infinite need, this infinite desire. Is there anything infinite that's going to satisfy me?
Do you think that's partially an issue because life is like too easy almost? Like we don't, like if you're just trying to survive, then maybe you're not worried about like the future too much, and maybe you're almost happier. You know, because I've heard of like cases where people in like third world countries are, I mean, maybe this is not true. Maybe they'd be much happier here, but like almost they don't know better, and so they don't like want more.
Maybe. But yeah, I think in poorer places, they know that, a material thing isn't going to satisfy them because
Right.
they can't have most material things. So that it's not even on the table. Whereas for us,
Yeah.
it's on the table for most people. So they can delude themselves into thinking that whatever material thing they've decided is going to make them happy, it's a real possibility for them until they get it.
Right.
So yeah, I think we're more distracted for sure by the counterfeit.
Yeah. Because I do think like
I'm gonna do my last set,
I'm gonna do set 2
and then
actually.
I'll look at the camera more.
Oh man, it's crazy how humbling the like elevated spots are. Especially if you're really like focusing on the form
Right.
and like keeping your body upright.
Yeah. That's how a lot of things are with proper form.
Yeah. Whew. These are sick plates.
Yeah.
Yeah, the metal ones. Yeah, I just feel like I've seen this a lot in my life, and lately I've been like trying to figure out just how to enjoy the day to day a little bit more. Because the last few months I've just had this mindset of like I'm just grinding. I'm just like trying to get to a point in the future where I'll be happy, and it's okay to like be miserable right now.
Right.
But which I don't think delayed gratification is a bad thing, but if you hate your life, it's probably not ideal. So
I agree.
yeah, I feel like I've almost been so like obsessed with like getting to those dreams so that I can then start living.
Right.
That I've been kind of missing like the point a little bit, and that kind of goes back to the discussion about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, because like I don't know, I had a little bit of an epiphany watching that movie and talking with Jonah, just like it's now, you know, like today is the day.
Right.
And if you're not like living today, if you're not being faithful with the little things, or like being a witness today, like how are you going to do it if you have some big like company or some big, you know, spotlight on you?
I think you're right.
So
That's huge, man.
so yeah, that's actually been really helpful this week, because I've just been at work like lately, just not liking going to work, and I'm like, why am I doing this a little bit? But I've been trying to show up and like be like, no, this is like, I'm here at Nike doing this retail position, which like is not a big deal, you know, but like I'm there for a reason, you know, and if I can't like do my best there and do a good job with like the work I'm doing, like do my best, then how am I going to be able to do that in the future?
Exactly.
So,
Wow. What a gift.
yeah. Yeah. So the last few days have actually been great. I've just been really focusing on that, and like going to work and stuff has been a lot better. So, yeah.
Oh, your parents are very pleased if they knew that.
Yeah.
That
They're
they made you
kinda-
go to that.
Yeah, it's true. I should tell them that. Be like, yo, that was awesome. But yeah, you know who John Wooden is?
Yeah, he's a coach,
The
right?
basketball
Yeah.
NCAA coach.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still alive. Probably not, actually. But my dad had me and my brother read his book when we were little. Not like his book, but he has like a kid's book that he wrote.
Okay.
And basically the whole point of the book is like, success is doing your best, you know, a little bit. And I don't think I really ever understood like what that meant until more recently. Because like one of the things he would tell his players was, before you do anything, you need to learn how to like tie your shoes, I think, properly is what he would say. And I used to be like, okay, like like make your bed, tie your shoes, like yeah, whatever. You know?
Right.
But I don't think it's really a physical thing so much as a mental thing. Like you have to be able to do the day-to-day right, and like the small things right.
Right. That's kind of Jordan Peterson's mantra too, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
That would make sense though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you put like the dedication into tying your shoes correctly, you know, then you're gonna be able to dedicate a lot more to the bigger things, I guess. So
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's an analogy, but if your shoes are never properly tied, you're going to be constantly like, you know, fixing them, tucking them into your shoes.
Right.
And in the worst case, you're like, you trip and fall and whatever, twist an ankle, you know, tear your jeans, and then you have to deal with that. Versus if you just took whatever it takes, an hour, and when you're 3 years old, to learn how to tie your shoes, that's a lifetime of not experiencing the pain of the consequences of not having your shoes tied.
Yeah.
And that's the same for whatever life lesson that you're supposed to learn when you're like 10 or 15. Like if you never learned that,
true.
whatever it is, empathy or generosity, kindness, honesty.
How much harder is it to learn when you're an adult?
Exactly. Yeah. And we talked about being direct.
Yeah.
You know, how much time do people waste by like, you know, not being direct and then hoping that someone reads their mind and then they're hurt because they're not reading their mind, or
Yeah.
they don't get what they want from their boss, or because again they're afraid of being direct. Like you can take that lesson to so many different fields.
No, for sure.
You know, simple subjects like math. Like you put in the time to learn your multiplication table. It's a lifetime of ease to do math.
True.
And probably you're going to make more money because you can do mental math. So, no, I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
And,
it's fundamental. I mean, the best coaches are always talking about fundamentals.
yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I just didn't really realize that until recently. Like, that it's almost even more of just a mental thing, like the discipline.
Right.
But yeah, I see like a lot of friends and a lot of like also some of my really close family that I think that they don't think they can be happy until they get to like this certain point in life,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's a bummer to see because it feels like sometimes it's like, man, you're missing it, you know? Like you're missing it right here. You're hanging out with, like we're all together,
Right.
all the guys, and like you're missing this opportunity now because you're like complaining about or just thinking about not being where you want to be.
Exactly.
You know? And that's like almost it right there. It's like the time is now. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously you care about them as a friend. You're like, I wish you could experience joy in the moment. But then they're also kind of not as much, but they're detracting from your fun. Like if you're
for sure.
all the guys are hanging out, one of them is a buzzkill. Well, they're kind of killing your buzz a little. You don't let it affect you that much, but it's still, if you know one of your guys aren't having fun with you, your fun is diminished a little.
No,
so it's like, bro, I want you to enjoy yourself for your sake and for mine. Yeah. But
hit the set real fast.
Yeah.
If you have anything to add on to that.
No, I totally agree with you. I did this not physical therapy, this massage therapy called muscle activation techniques. And it's good, but it kind of wrecks me, so I think I'm gonna do my stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm gonna sleep on. And I did Pilates this morning, but normally on Tuesdays, like I do my push-ups and pull-ups in the evening. But
what that was like at a PT place or?
Yeah, it's a friend actually. She's like an expert at her uncle actually founded the practice.
Wow.
It's called MAT, muscle activation techniques. And
is it like shock therapy or
no? It's like muscle. They activate your muscles by like pushing them very
almost
kind of, but more. I think more surface than deeper with the needles. Yeah.
Invasive.
Yeah, invasive.
Did it work?
I would attribute, Pilates, that, and Megan's, needling to my healing. So I don't know which is the most important, but I'll give all three credit.
There you go. The needling is crazy. Like, at least for me, like when I injured my rotator cuff, that was definitely, I think, what helped
Right.
out of everything.
Yeah.
And just doing my exercises.
Yeah, and that's it. It's both. And if you just do one, like if make her do all the work and you don't do your work, it's not gonna heal, at least not as quickly. And then vice versa. If you're just doing your exercises and there's no invasive remedy, it might your work might not be doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So going back to that previous topic, how do you think like you can, or do you have any advice on how to just not get distracted by your like dreams so much, or to rephrase, like I think sometimes it is hard to be in the moment because you do think that you have a greater purpose,
Yeah.
But how do you like not let that discourage you almost?
Yeah. Discourage you from like living in the moment, or
just like enjoying the day to day and just working hard where you're at, I guess.
I mean, it's kind of again, I don't want to go back to like control, but it's like there is a discipline to it. Like, again, I'm all about a structure, and if you want to be good at anything, you have to do it every day. You have to practice. So yes, having the schedule, having the discipline is critical, but at the same time, you have to have this awareness that an awareness and openness to being like corrected. Well, what if what I've chosen to do every day is actually not helping me? Right. What if it's not my calling? What if it's
right? Because there is the other side of that coin where you're just content, like not doing anything, kind of.
Or you're content. You've chosen your path and you don't want to deviate because you know you have to have that resolution in order to succeed.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, I think it's because I mean, you think of the greatest athletes, the greatest scholars. They're not like thinking. Michael Jordan's not thinking every few days, am I actually supposed to be playing basketball? No, he never thought that. And so, or I shouldn't say never. He probably, at least it didn't seem like he thought about it. So, and I'm all about, sublime excellence, like be the best at whatever you're doing. But I hope that the greatest people in their craft, they had this conviction because they knew it was from like above, like they were called to do that. And so I guess if you're like, if you're a weightlifter, bodybuilder, I was a CrossFitter, wrestler, like give it your all every day, but then have an attitude that if something shows me, and that's something being God, or maybe my best friends, my mentors are telling me that I'm not doing what I should be doing, I'm not living to my full potential for whatever reason, then I could maybe second guess myself. So it's this conviction that I got to do my best every day, but then this simultaneous openness to, well, if something inserts itself into my life, I have to have that ability to know, is this a distraction and push it away?
Yeah.
Or is it something I need to pay attention to
Yeah.
and embrace it? I mean, you look at the apostles, right? They were, I would think they were pretty good fishermen. Matthew was a great tax collector, right? They did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
So and God literally came to them and said, "No, follow me." Did they say, "No, I need to focus on tax collecting and fishing"? No, they all responded. So, and it changed their lives, and they're the most famous people in history because of it. I think it's that balance. And it's not even a balance. It's just an openness. Like I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna do what I think I'm supposed to be doing. I'm gonna be the best weightlifter I'm supposed to be. But if God calls me, I'll give it up.
Yeah.
But he's got to really call. He's got to show me. He's got to be like it can't be just some like, oh, I want to be lazy today. That's not God calling you.
Right.
Or I want to eat 12 donuts today. No, that's not God calling you either. Or some, a girl that is bad news is calling you to go to her house instead of work out. Well, that's not God either. Like, no, away from me, Satan. I'm going to go work out. But
oh yeah.
And I think if you're open to God, you're going to know it. Right? If you practice that like Bonhoeffer, he practiced the daily awareness of able to listen to God in a small way.
Right.
And so when it got to the point where it was something serious, he knew God's voice.
Right. Well, because exactly. Like there was one of the parts in the movie he's like talking to his friend. I don't remember if he was Catholic or not, but it was his friend who was also either like a pastor or a priest at the same like church.
Right.
And he was like, don't you see what's happening? Like, this is like clearly not of God. And his friend was like, what are you talking about? Like, Hitler's a great leader. Like, he's going to lead Germany out of this like darkness.
Exactly.
And like God is behind him.
Right.
Which in hindsight's 2020.
Right.
It's like, yikes.
No.
But like in the moment, it's like, he's just some dude who's like charismatic. And
well, yeah, he was saving Germany from
Yeah.
the poverty of World War I. Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
that kind of makes you think like, oh geez, like would I be discerning enough to know if something like that was happening now? And that's kind of the whole point of the movie.
Exactly. And maybe you wouldn't initially, but again, it's that humility to say, even if I initially fall for something or someone, do I have that ability to say I was wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think the other side is problematic too, where there's like do you think it's a problem to not really want to get anything out of life crazy? Like you're just kind of content, like
I think so.
coasting through.
Well, yeah.
Because I have friends like that too. It's like I see them and they're like, it's like I think they have a lot of potential, but it seems like they're wasting it a little bit almost,
Well, yeah, I'm all strive for excellence. Find the thing that you're passionate about. You can't live without, and be the best.
Yeah.
Do that as like insanely as you can.
Yeah.
While being open to like the possibility that you might be on the wrong track.
Right.
But not listening to most people, only listening to ultimately the one who knows.
Yeah.
And then, your closest friends who aren't like negative because they're jealous, but they actually love you enough to tell you, hey, this road might not be the road you're supposed to be on.
Right.
And again, having a prayerful docility to God, you'll know the difference between those voices.
Yeah. That's kind of the only way to know a little bit.
Way too easy.
I forgot to do a call to action.
Oh, call to action.
Real fast.
Call to action.
How to better live in the moment.
I mean, I think I'd say I probably challenged us to like pray in the morning in your morning prayer, just like offer your day to God,
Yeah.
ask him to show himself, and ask for the strength, the awareness to like be open to the things that he's calling us to do, even the smallest things,
Yeah.
to bless us, to see joy and beauty and to serve him. But then I guess obviously, like, you know, again, I'm all about discipline. So like, stay faithful to my schedule that hopefully we've created so we can be disciplined. But then know when to deviate from that schedule and know when to like persevere. So I guess every morning pray for that wisdom.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's something I need, is like a morning routine, because like I think momentum, if you can get momentum going in the morning,
Oh yeah.
it really does affect the rest of your day, like for sure. And some mornings when I wake up and I'm like just on my phone in the morning or whatever, it's like the rest of the day does not turn out very well usually.
Yeah.
Because it just, well, phone's like a whole different thing. It just zaps your brain like
Exactly.
in the morning. But
And I think a good habit is before you, I mean, obviously we do need to use our phone eventually, like to get connected or respond to things. But even before I turn off my phone at night. I'd recommend that to people.
yeah, that's
But
good.
before you look at your phone, before you turn it on, in the Catholic tradition, we have the morning offering.
Oh,
You offer your day to God. So I would say,
okay.
before you do anything with your phone, before you say hi to anybody, even if you're just like, you wake up and, you do it while you're still lying in your bed. Because if you get out of your bed, someone might say something to you, but you offer your day to God and offer, that you give it all to him and you're open to the times when he wants to bless you, and then we see what happens.
Yeah.